Right, we should now be live. Good evening, everyone. Bear with me, I'm just going to get the background music sorted. There we are. Lovely jubbly. Stick that up a little bit. Excellent. Oh, welcome to Christmas Eve. Hello in chat. I know that Rob's here, Guillermo is here, Nerd Guy's here, Fallout is here, and Kyan is here. Hello, everyone. And following on from Wednesday's sort of look at the Jurassic World Evolution 2 dinosaur species, I thought I'd go through the species for the films, because that's going to come up with a very different list. Hello, Maricela. I probably ruined that name. I do apologize. Merry Christmas to you as well, and obviously Merry Christmas to anyone who is hours ahead of me. It's currently 9 o'clock here in Britain, so we're not quite to Christmas just yet. But if you're already celebrating Christmas, then I hope you've been having a good day. So, how am I going to do this list? So there's a few things I'm going to look at. The use of the dinosaur in the movie or the TV show, because this does have the Count Cretaceous dinosaurs. So, how is the dinosaur used in the film or the movie or show, whatever? How accurate it is, because I think accuracy is relevant to a degree. Sort of how interesting they were as sort of a model and design. Hello something, Merry Christmas. And just generally also my own opinion on it. We're just going to start with Jurassic Park 1. So, the Triceratops. Triceratops in the movie we only get to see really properly once, in the scene with Alan Grant and Ellie, because it's suffering from some sort of poisoning. I think it's a very nice scene that it has. It's one of the few scenes in the first film where everyone's loving the dinosaur, basically. It also results in that brilliant one-liner from Ian Malcolm that is one big pile of shit. So I think the scene it is in is a good scene. I think the design is bad. It's not supposed to be a brown colour. It is supposed to be a navy blue, but they covered it in so much mud that it looked brown. So I think in terms of its design, it could have been a bit more interesting. I do think it was also underused. I agree something. It could have shown up again. But it does show up in The Lost World, doesn't it? And it takes part in trashing the Ludlow's camp. So I think because of its place in that film and the first film, I think it's still a good species. The Brachiosaurus. Now, we have to take in all of the films and all of the Brachiosaurus moments into account here. In the first movie, obviously, I don't even think it needs much explanation. It's always going to be one of the best dinosaurs in the franchise. In the first movie, it's the very first dinosaur we properly see. It's also part of that lovely scene in the trees. In the second movie, obviously, it got replaced with Mamenchisaurus. In the third film, the redesign for the third movie, I actually always quite liked. I liked the patterning and the sort of the green and the white striping that it had going on. I actually thought the Brachiosaurus in JP3 was very good. Obviously, then it has its doesn't really have a part in the Jurassic World movie because it gets replaced with the Apatosaurus. It comes up again for Fallen Kingdom, but only really to tug on the heartstrings, with it dying on the beach with all the volcanic ash and everything around it, which I actually don't like. I thought that scene was kind of nostalgia baiting. But as a general animal in all of the films, I think Brachiosaurus is definitely one of the best. Dilophosaurus. So Dilo, I'm quite torn about. I agree, Guillermo, it's a horrible scene. Dilo, I'm torn about. The Dilophosaurus in the movies were supposed to be juvenile. That's why they're so small. There was supposed to be later scenes where we had a full-size Dilophosaurus in the movie, but we never got to see it. But as a result, the Dilophosaurus has remained this size. Even in Dominion, the Dilophosaurus has remained small, which is incorrect. Now, I don't mind sort of generally, apart from the raptors, pretty much every animal is size-wise pretty accurate. But the Dilophosaurus remains inaccurately sized, and it's not even supposed to be a juvenile in Dominion. Why has the music stopped? There you go. So Dilo in Jurassic Park 1 is interesting in the way that it kind of works as that stealthy, secretive, almost xenomorph-like dangerous creature. I think the scene killing Nedry is one of the better deaths in the franchise. Copying it for Dominion was a good nostalgia hit, but that's all it was. It wasn't imaginative, it was just a nostalgia hit. I agree with you, Guillermo. I thought the Dilophosaurus in the novel was better than the movie's interpretation. The frill... the frill really annoys me, mostly because as a result of Jurassic Park, every Dilophosaurus now in stuff, even Ark's Dilophosaurus has a frill. And it's just wrong. And I know there are inaccuracies in this franchise, but most people accept that the Velociraptors are inaccurate and they don't have their feathers. But what most people don't ever consider is the Dilophosaurus being completely inaccurate and wrong. They think all the Dilophosaurus are venomous now and stuff. So I think I'm only going to put the Dilo in okay, mostly because of the fact that it's sort of damaging real-world paleontology with its inaccuracies. And we never get to see an adult one. Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's just always going to be in the best, isn't it? Rexy. I've always known her as Rexy, but apparently her name is now Roberta, but as far as I'm concerned, it's Rexy. Obviously takes main set stage in the first film as the big baddie. We actually have a separate T-Rex for the Lost World, so I don't need to consider the Lost World. Jurassic Park 3 only shows up to get killed by the Spinosaurus, which is a bit of a disappointment, that particular scene, but I don't mind it. My issue with the T-Rex in the way Jurassic World has treated her is they've too heavily anthropomorphized Rexy. The scene in Jurassic World where it beats up the Indominus Rex, I have a considerable issue with, because it's just a pointless kaiju fight. And a Velociraptor and a T-Rex would not work together to take down an Indominus Rex in such a obviously fake and almost superhero-like method. But if I'm just taking the first film into account, then obviously Rexy is always going to be at the top. So even though I think she's been misused in the franchise, she's obviously going to be at the top. The JP1 Raptors. And we have Raptors in the other sections. So we're just looking at Jurassic Park 1's Raptors here. Obviously, the big bad guys, if there was a bad guy dinosaur. The scene in the kitchen is probably the most memorable part of their presence in the movie. I think their overall design is a bit bland and boring, because they were just the JP Jurassic Park 1 Raptors are just brown. That's all they are. They're just bland. It would have been nice to see them a little bit, the Raptors in the next movies, they're all a lot more colourful and I think they have better designs. They are inaccurate, but I don't mind the slightly inflated size. They were always supposed to be a bigger species of raptor, just Velociraptor sounded better, so they went with that as a name. So yeah, just because of the blandness, I think the Jurassic Park 1 Raptor stays in good for me. Oh, we've got a bot already. Let's get rid of that. Now, I'm actually going to knock the dilos down to bad. I think I've been too nice for the dilos there. The Gallimimus. In the first movie, it's just there to be eaten by the T-Rex, and I have always liked Tim's response, isn't it, to they're flocking this way. I always think that's a hidden little F-bomb in there. They're flocking this way. But yeah, apart from that, they don't really have a point in the movie. Nerd Guy, I think you're referring to the raptors in Jurassic World, not Jurassic Park, because in Jurassic Park, the raptors weren't really anthropomorphized at all. They were just normal hunters. It wasn't until Jurassic World that they really became problematic. The chicken run was so realistic. I was referring to Jurassic Park. What about the raptors in Jurassic Park made you think they were anthropomorphized? I'm curious about that one, actually, because we don't really see much of the raptors in Jurassic Park 1. The galleys, I think I'm just going to stick in okay, because they only show up for one scene, and they didn't really have a purpose beyond that. Right, the Lost World Raptors. Obviously, they have a much better skin, so that makes them better already. The tiger stripe skin that they were given is pretty infamous among the community. The size is the same as the Jurassic Park 1 Raptors, so that is what it is. The scene in the long grass is probably one of the most horrifying scenes in that movie, with them jumping out of the long grass and killing the entirety of the the team that goes in there, and also responsible for killing Roland Tembo's assistant. I would say that Hello, Neron. I'd say that this scene at the end of the movie where we have that bit of gymnastics by Ian Malcolm's kid, and it smashes, and she smashes one through the window. It's a bit stupid, silly as far as it's a bit silly for me. But apart from that bit, the Lost World Raptors I think are pretty perfect. In my head canon, the Tiger Stripe Raptors were the males, while the JP1 Raptors were the females. I mean, that would make sense, Guillermo. I mean, yeah, I mean, that does make perfectly good sense. Males are going to be the more vibrantly patterned. Stegosaurus. So I've never really liked Jurassic Park or Jurassic World's design for the Stegosaurus. I think it's very bland. There's no color on it at all, really. It's just a green body with brown plates. So it's kind of lacking in the skin department. And they've never done it, and they've never made the model look right either. They always design the Stegosaurus with a droopy tail, which isn't really accurate to how the dinosaurs moved around and such. That being said, in the Lost World, the scene with the Stegosaurus, with the young Stegosaurus, and then in defending its young with the Thagomisers, was a good scene. A little bit of action for the very start of the movie. But then Stegosaurus doesn't really get used beyond that. I mean, it shows up in Jurassic World just for another dinosaur to have in that valley. And that's about it. That's true. The Stegos in the Lost World really did they did a good job of making them look pretty big. Do I think it's as good as the scene with the Trike and the Raptors? That's a tricky one. I think it is. I think that scene is as good as that Trike scene, definitely. I just don't like how bland the design is. It filled the complete scene for a nature documentary. It did. The Lost World T-Rexes, some of the best skin designs, colourful. Obviously the scene where it smashes the hell out of the big RVs is a very powerful scene. The scene where they then hunt, chase down the campsite survivors and everything. And then obviously when they kill Peter Ludlow. Peter Ludlow being probably the one villain I hated most in the Jurassic Park franchise. So yeah, any dinosaur that kills Peter Ludlow is instantly going to be good. Pteranodon only shows up at the very end, so I don't really think it counts as a Lost World animal. I'm curious. It's a bit strange they put it in here in the Lost World section and not in the Jurassic Park 3 section. So Pteranodon in Jurassic Park 3 We have that brilliant scene where they sort of walk out of the fog, and it's all very mystic. Not mystic, but misty. And that whole scene inside the aviary is pretty... is a pretty sort of tense, action-packed scene. In Jurassic World, I don't really like the Pteranodon model. I think it looks very ugly. I don't really like the way they handle the pterosaurs in Jurassic World either. You know, they've just been released from the aviary, and they're yeah. You know what? We'll discuss Jurassic World's handling of its animals, the aviary animals, under the generic Dimorphodon bracket, because I think we can include them all there. So, the Pteranodon, as far as Jurassic Park 3 goes, it was an okay scene. I think that the Lost World Pteranodons were meant to have more screen time, and I think they were meant to be Geosternbergia. Yes, they were supposed to be Geosternbergia, because at the time they were supposed to be similar species or something. Anyway, Parasaurolophus. He's put it in the Lost World section. We do see that one being wrangled, don't we, at the beginning of the movie? Apart from that, doesn't really show up. Then Parasaurolophus shows up a little bit in Jurassic Park 3 for the Stampede. Again, that's about it. I liked the Jurassic Park 1 skin for the para. It's alright. It's a bit bland. So, not thinking about the Jurassic World films, I would probably put the para in sort of an okay area. But then we get to the Lost World, well, the Jurassic World films, and this is primarily concerned with the Dominion. You know, now apparently Owen Grady's hand thing works on every dinosaur species now, including the Parasaurolophus. And apparently one single man, Owen Grady, can hold back and wrangle Parasaurolophus, whereas in the Lost World it took like 6 people just to hold on to the ropes. The coloration on them is nice in Dominion. I will agree with you there, Rob. I just think that they're used in a pretty silly way in Dominion. So yeah, it stays in the okay section. I find it weird how the paras change throughout the films, like the skins of the models. Yeah, I think out of all of the animals in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, I think the raptors and the Parasaurolophus, they just basically changed every movie. The Momenchisaurus in the Lost World is literally seen for like 2 seconds, so I don't really see any purpose putting it in here. Like, it's just kind of a background animal, a bit like the galley, so yeah, fine, okay, whatever. Pachycephalosaurus. Again, it's literally, we see it for a couple of minutes and it smashes the guy through the Jeep, which is quite a funny scene. I like the coloration on it, but apart from it being in those moments, like, we don't really see much of it. So yeah, and 2 seconds in Jurassic World, so again, I don't, it's just a background species which doesn't get enough screen time. The compies. Now, I personally hate the compies. It headbutts a guy through a Jeep. A+ in my opinion. Oh, Kine thinks that the compy kill was so cool. The one on is it Dieter? Yeah. It is quite a horrible and ruthless kill. Being eaten alive by a pack of compies until they kill you. It's probably one of the worst ways to go in the Jurassic Park franchise. It wouldn't be quick. It wouldn't be painless. It would be pretty disgusting. So, just on that alone, I think they have to go into good. For sure, Guillermo. Definitely not as bad as the novels. I like the compies in the Lost World, but everywhere else it was just a creature they'd add for movement to a scene. I do agree with that, Neron. Yeah, apart from that particular bit in the Lost World, they were just there for a scene. But the way that it kills Dieter, like, no one likes Dieter. We all wanted him to meet a horrible end, and we finally got it. So, Jurassic Park 3. So let's get the obvious one out of the way. The raptor designs in Jurassic Park 3 were the best, in my opinion, the best raptor designs of all of the films. The quilled male variety with the red crests and the quills on the back of the head and the neck, and then the female variety with the white and black striping. Those two designs were amazing and I loved them. I loved the sounds that they used for the raptors in that particular film. And while it's borderline a bit silly, I didn't mind the whole Alan Grant using the 3D printed vocalizer to kind of confuse them. You know, in the wild, naturalists will record whale speak and dolphin speak and play it back to them in order to stimulate behavior. I don't think it's excessively unreasonable to think that if you did something similar with a dinosaur, that it wouldn't confuse them or result in some behavior. And obviously they have a distinct reason to track down Alan Grant and the rest of the survivors because, you know, they've stolen the raptor's eggs. It's a shame that Jurassic Park 3 just wasn't generally a very good movie, because I think the way they deal with the raptors there were the best. I know how they were made, Kyan. Yes, Dane is very ill, unfortunately. The Corythosaurus goes in as just an okay background animal. In fact, I'm just going to change this to like BGs, like okay or background animals, because we didn't really get to see much of the Corythosaurus apart from it in the Stampede. The Ankylosaurus. The Jurassic Park 3 skin for the Ankylosaurus I love. But it doesn't really have much purpose in the movie, so I'm going to actually... I'll discuss the Ankylosaurus when we get to Jurassic World. The Ceratosaurus... See, I'm going to put it in good, because it was the first time we got an on-screen carnivore that wasn't a raptor and wasn't a Rex. And I love that. So that little Cerato scene where it just like pokes its head up and kind of observes them and then sort of buggers off. I think it was just a nice, kind of cute little scene for the Cerato. And it remains, you know, the only time we've seen Cerato on screen. And I think that little Jurassic carnivore needs a bit more love. So I'm going to put it in as good. Spinosaurus. I'm just going to turn that music down a little bit so I can hear myself think. The Spinosaurus. So it's obviously the most controversial part of Jurassic Park 3. Yeah. They needed to come up with something different for Jurassic Park 3. That much I agree with. We couldn't just have T-Rex again, because we'd seen T-Rex in the first film, we'd seen T-Rex in the second film. We didn't really need to see T-Rex again. So they did have to come up with something different. The problem is Jurassic Park 3 treated the Spinosaurus in a similar way to how Jurassic World treats the Indominus Rex. It's just a movie monster. It chases down the survivors for no reason other than spite, it seems like. The scene where it kills the T-Rex was not needed. I don't think we needed a scene where it kills the T-Rex to prove that it was a better dinosaur. You know, that whole particular fight is very weighted on the Spinosaurus's side. As a creature design, I think it looks very threatening and very cool. Yes, Dinosaur King, Jack Horner is the reason for this. Treated so bad that people theorize it's a hybrid. So I know that it is part of this amalgam project, and in my own personal headcanon, the Spinosaurus was the first hybrid. Because that would explain why it doesn't look paleontologically accurate. It would also explain why it has this psychopathic sort of rage. Yes, Dinosaur King, I'm not saying it is a hybrid, I'm saying that's my personal headcanon. Oh, I think you could argue that it's mixed with all sorts of stuff. It does have good sound design, Neuron, I will agree. I just think that the way that it's treated in the film is bad. It's not terrible, terrible, but it is bad for me. Jurassic World. See, now this is where we get to more sticking points. Because a lot of the dinosaurs in the following movies are all kind of negatively affected by... I've forgotten... You've forgotten an animal. What animal am I forgetting, Kyan? I moved the Ankylosaurus to talk about it in this Jurassic World section because we see more of it. If that's what you're referring to. Dimetrodon. We haven't even got to Dominion yet to discuss Dimetrodon. we'll get there. We'll get to discussing Dimetrodon when we get to Oh, that's interesting. They're missing it. Yeah, so Kyan, I didn't make this tier maker list. This is one on the website. So it's actually missing from here. That's interesting. We'll have to figure out some way of discussing it and putting it in here. So yeah, as I was saying, all of the animals in the following movies are all negatively affected by the fact that the movies handle them badly. So I love the fact that each of the raptors here is given their own thing. We'll deal with the raptor squad in a minute. Let's tackle probably the biggest one to start with, the Indominus Rex. So what's good about it? I think the fact that it's completely white is unique. Other than that, I think it's awful. I'm sorry. The Indominus Rex is awful. It's awful because the whole concept of the hybrid dinosaur is a stupid one. If you need... So, the whole reason for coming up with the Indominus Rex is that Jurassic World was somehow incapable of keeping people visiting their dinosaur theme park because dinosaurs weren't interesting anymore. So their answer was to create another dinosaur themselves? That whole premise, I think, is complete rubbish. Like, zoos don't spend their time dreaming up hybridized elephant-rhino hybrids because people aren't coming to the zoo. They just get a different creature in, or they just don't bother because people will go to a zoo regardless. Yeah, that line, the kids treat the Stegosaurus like an elephant, I think is the most stupid line of the whole film. Technically, zoos allow their big cats to hybridize like Hercules liger. Well, crossbreeding is not really hybridization, Dinosaur King, so I'd argue about that. So yeah, that's my first problem with the Jurassic World, with the Indominus Rex. The whole purpose of its existence is a stupid one. Dinosaur King, I hate Claire because she was a robot. We're not discussing characters. If we finish this tier maker quite quickly, maybe I'll look into doing the characters of Jurassic World. Maybe there's one for that. So, hello Adam. The dinosaurs being ranked by their purpose in the movie, their design, their accuracy, and my own personal opinion of them. So yeah, that's my first problem with the Indominus Rex. The second problem with the Indominus Rex for me is that it is a boring design. It's a T-Rex with long arms and a slightly different shaped head, and they've given it a few quills. The designs for the Malusaurus and Indominus Rex that were concept drawn, the Malusaurus being this sort of slightly Suchomimus-esque black and red dinosaur, and the concept Indo, which was this yellow and purple sort of design. They were both more interesting. The Indominus Rex is just a Giga or a Rex, really, with slightly longer arms and a white skin colour. So I don't really think it's an interesting design. Thirdly, it displays a level of intelligence that is beyond what an creature is capable of doing. It remembers where its tracker is installed, somehow manages to remove its tracker, and then is intelligent enough to leave the tracker in a place where it can lay a trap for the humans that it somehow knows are following it using this tracker. There's no way any animal would have that level. That whole situation requires a level of intelligence equal to that of a human being. The camouflaging and making itself invisible to sensors, it's just like giving a dinosaur superpowers, which in addition to the intelligence just makes it less of an animal. And then at the end of the movie they have to make it this stupid kaiju battle at the end of the film with the T-Rex. I just think it's a terrible idea, and it was rubbish. It was a Marvel movie with I don't like the Indo. Stegoceratops, I don't really see why it's here, because it didn't have any purpose in the movie. We only saw it as a pop-up on the screen, so I don't really see what it's here for. So yeah, but we didn't really see it in the movie apart from on a computer display, and if we're gonna start including dinosaurs on computer displays, so I'm just going to put it in the worst section because it was cut and it was pointless to see it there. So And we do ruffle feathers near on, that's certainly true. We'll deal with the 4 raptors in a second. The Mosasaurus. So, as a model, the Mosasaurus is quite visually impressive. The thing that annoys me is that the side of the Mosasaurus changes size consistently throughout all of the movies. They cannot keep it to one size. You know, if you see the size estimation charts for the Mosasaurus in all of the Jurassic World films, it's a huge range of sizes because it's just terrible, just terrible for it. In Jurassic World, the scene where it sort of grabs that grey white shark as its aquatic display is an impressive scene. Grabbing the Indominus Rex at the end, bit excessive, but again, I think it was an okay scene. For the other 2 movies, the Mosasaurus just sort of happens to be around. I mean, it hunts the surfer. It was going to come out of the trees where the Apatos died. What, the Stegoceratops, right. Well, it didn't, did it? So it still counts as the worst. You know, if the dinosaur, you know, we don't go on ifs and buts here. We have to go on what we get on the screen. I think it's fantastic that we got a water reptile, but it annoyed me that it felt like it was 3 times the correct size. Yep. I would have liked if the Mosa died in Dominion by getting beached or something. Yeah, I mean, that scene at the end of Dominion where the Mosasaurus is seen just swimming alongside whales as if it's suddenly friends with them. Like, no, that's not what it would be like. The scene at the start of Dominion where it capsizes the boat was quite cool. I just think they should have done more with it. They did get the second row of teeth right, that is true, Kyan. It is responsible also for the most extreme death we see on screen, with Claire's assistant in Jurassic World being eaten alive by it. I think just it was an okay animal to add. I think they could have done more with it in Fallen Kingdom and Dominion than what they actually did. I was kind of disappointed we didn't see more of it in Dominion, to be honest. Oh yes, look at this thing that's going to destroy the whale population. Indeed, it is going to destroy the whale population. Let me just get rid of that bot quickly. The Dimorphodon. So let's discuss the pterosaurs in general in Jurassic World. That whole scene where the Indo smashes into the aviary, and then all the pterosaurs go nuts and they fly off. So firstly, that aviary, if that aviary contained that quantity of pterosaurs that we see escape from it, it's clearly over capacity. It's clearly too crowded, which in terms of sort of living conditions for the animals is not fair and kind of illegal. The Jurassic World Pteranodon is an ugly model. I hate it. The Dimorphodon, quite rightly, Guillermo says it looks like a gremlin. It's horrible. I just don't buy the idea that the pterosaurs in Jurassic World, once free, wouldn't just fly away, but would instead fly deliberately to a place where there's lots of humans and start hunting them, as if they already know what human beings are and to hunt them. I also love how the Dimorphodon that attacks Owen Grady. This is an animal that weighs a couple of kilos, if that, and Owen Grady can't lift it off of itself. Like, dude, it's not a really heavy bird. These pterosaurs are lightweight, which is also why when that pteranodon crashes onto the street and then almost skewers the kids, like that scene is also laughable because there's no way the pteranodon would survive intact that crash. Yeah, and that whole scene with Claire then being like pew 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 at the pterosaurs, I think it's a preposterous scene. I'm going to put it in awful. I think no, I'm going to put it as the worst. It's the worst part of it for me. The Dimorphodons look like pterosaurs with Indominus heads. They really do. One bullet was good. 198. No, 19,830. No, 19,832,929 was not needed. I agree, Kyan. I think the Dimorphodon that Claire shot would have been dead from the amount of tranquilizers. Well, yeah, that's actually a good point, Guillermo. Like, too much tranquilizer will kill an animal. You have to be very, very careful. The Apatosaurus. The only purpose of it in the movie is to have this really faked... You said it's Kian? Really? That's how you pronounce it? Kian? I've never heard that pronunciation of it before. Okay, so Kian. I'm gonna have to try and remember that one. I'm sorry. I've never heard it pronounced that way. Oh well. I will try to remember. I apologize. The only reason I'm here is to do the Carno test. We're almost at the Carno. So the Apatosaurus scene is really only there to try to make Claire Deering likable, which she isn't. It's like, oh, Irish, so my name has right. That makes more sense, Kian. Okay, I got it. I probably should have asked Dane actually, considering he's Irish, how it's pronounced. But yeah, the whole scene with Claire Deering trying to be like, oh my god, you all these apatosaurs are dead and this one's gonna die. Hello.
My name was said.
Yes, it was. But unless you have glasses, you're not going to be able to see what I was looking at. Yeah, are my debts and assets are dead, no more money.
What?
It's not a particularly powerful scene. It just comes across very faked. The Apatosaurus that shows up in Dominion, I don't understand why a sauropod would, and a dinosaur at that point, a reptile, would go to a very cold place. You know, reptiles are cold-blooded. We don't have any proof that all of the dinosaurs were warm-blooded. I think it's unrealistic that a dinosaur the size of an Apatosaurus would go to a snow-filled place. And again, it's only there in Dominion so that we can have our reference bit with the flare, because like remember this scene from Jurassic Park where they distract it with the flare.
C-I-A-N is Kian.
Kian.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Did you say Kian?
No, I was pronounced it Kian because that's how I've always seen it pronounced. Yes, sorry. Kian from now on. When I say Jurassic World for the first time saw Jurassic World for the first time in theaters, I thought Owen would pass a dead juvenile brachia instead of a wounded apatosaur. So the dinosaurs are not cold-blooded. That is absolutely proven, but of course it's unrealistic that such a sauropod in winter. So it's I would argue it's not absolutely proven for every species, Rob. As far as I'm aware, sauropods, we don't have any evidence of it. But irrespective, as I just don't think a sauropod would go to the coldest place in America and not just stay somewhere where there's lots of trees and that it's warm. And its main purpose in Jurassic World just seems to be for referencing purposes and for Claire Dearing's fake, I really care about these animals. No, really, I really do. Actually, there is evidence the sauropods were probably cold-blooded but survived through gigantothermy or body heat because of its size. Okay. Interesting. I mean, I believe conventional knowledge is that dinosaurs were in between cold-blooded and warm-blooded. Yeah, so like, regardless of whether they were warm-blooded or cold-blooded, I just still don't think it makes much sense that a sauropod like Apatosaurus is going to go to the coldest place around. There are just so many other better environments that they would pick. And it's only there so we can have the nostalgia moment. So I think it's going to have to go in bad for me. Right, the raptors. Blue is a problem for me. I think blue is one of the worst things that the Jurassic franchise has come up with. Too heavily anthropomorphized. They've turned what used to be a scary dinosaur, a ruthless pack hunter, into a pet dog. And the only reason for it is so that they can have a marketable pet dinosaur. She's the only one as well with any distinct, real, like, proper coloration. The others are pretty bland in terms of coloration, which is again just a marketing gimmick. Her role in the second movie as being... No, I didn't know that, Kian. I didn't know that they had different heads. Yeah, her role in Fallen Kingdom is to just be the magical MacGuffin that everyone's after. And then she gets shot. And then she has a blood transfusion with blood from a T-Rex. Okay then. And then in the third movie, she somehow understands Owen Grady telling her that she's gonna get the baby raptor back. It's awful. It is, yes, Kian. It is the same Jeep. But we're talking about the dinosaur here, not the nostalgic referencing. So yeah, I think blue is the worst. It is one of the worst things that has come out of the Jurassic franchise. The other Raptors, they're just there as fodder to die. They don't really have a purpose apart from that. They have very bland, boring, uninspired patterns because they're not easily marketable as blue. And apart from that, they're just there to die in the movie. So I wouldn't say they're awful because we don't really get any screen time of them, but they're awful in this fact that they're just there to literally die off. And then the Ankylosaurus, which would have killed anyone who has studied Ankylosaurian scientific papers. They would have killed the Indominus Rex. The first Ankylosaurus whack would have killed the T-Rex. I can't really discuss Bumpy because I haven't watched Camp Cretaceous. I like the design of the Ankylosaurus though. So I'm going. It's an okay animal. It's okay. Into Fallen Kingdom. Oof. Right, Baryonyx straight away is awful. The design of that thing is awful. It's ugly. It doesn't look a thing like the skeleton. The alligator design thing is just awful. Boring skin pattern. And then it's used in the film crawling through a vent shaft. It gets hit on the head by lava and somehow survives. I don't know if anyone knows anything about volcanoes, but lava is bloody hot. You know, hundreds and hundreds of degrees. It doesn't matter if you're a dinosaur or not. If you get a bit of lava on you, it's gonna hurt, if not kill you, if it lands on your head. And I kind of feel like there were better dinosaurs that we could have had in that particular scene. Such as Dilophosaurus, perhaps. You know, if we are going to have little Dilophosaurus, why not have them at that particular scene? You know, maybe their spit could have shut up Franklin and his pointless screaming throughout the whole movie. I don't know. Or you could have had a raptor. Or you could have had a pack of compies. There are so many other better animals that you could have used for that particular scene. Apart from Baryonyx. So, yeah, Barry stays in awful for me. It is my favourite dinosaur, and I was so glad it got some screen time at last. But just not that screen time. We'll discuss the Indoraptor last. And we'll discuss the Stygimoloch last. So, the Carnotaurus. I'm curious, Aiden, sorry. Thank you, Neron. What do you mean you're here for the Carno test? What do you expect me to do with the Carno? What's your opinion on the Carnotaurus, Aiden? It's the best. Okay. It's the best. I don't know. Okay, I like the design of both the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Carno and the Dominion Carno. I think they have very good designs. Especially the Dominion Carno. If I was pressed to find something good about Dominion, the Carno is probably one of the few good things about it. I don't really like the implementation. In Fallen Kingdom, it decides to have a fight with the obese dinosaur they decided to put in the middle of a volcanic eruption. Most animals don't stop when there's a volcanic eruption on their doorstep to have a fight. In Dominion, it's kill. Does it kill the guy on the scooter? No, it doesn't. That's the aloe, isn't it? Okay, I'm not going to say that the Carno is in the lower half. I am going to say that it's only okay, and that's solely because of the bad implementation that the Jurassic World films use for their dinosaurs. If the Carno acted a little more like an actual dinosaur, then it would go up higher. Technically, in Land Before Time, Littlefoot's mother fought the Sharptooth during an extinction event. That's true, although... I'm sorry for your loss of your brother killed by a T-Rex. Yikes. Sinoceratops. Ugh. Yes. What's the point? Why did we have to have Sinoceratops in here? It's obese. It has holes in the frill that shouldn't be there. It's got nice coloration. And the fight with the Carnotaurus was quite a visual spectacle. Yeah, it's okay. I'd rather have seen Triceratops come back, I think, to be honest. I think seeing Triceratops attack the Carno would have been more impressive, I think. Nah, Trike fights Rexes, not Carnotaurs. I suppose that is the traditional image, isn't it? Of Trikes fighting T-Rex. me when I saw the Sinoceratops for the first time was, hey, look, the dinosaur from that one Walking with Dinosaurs movie no one likes. Yeah, I have never seen that, thank God, because it would ruin my childhood. I feel like Sinoceratops is in here because it's from China. And it's like, hey, we've got a Chinese dinosaur in, so we can make China happy. That's just my feeling of it. Let's move on. The Allosaurus. I say the Allosaurus, the juvenile Allosaurus. It's an okay design. It's an okay skin. Doesn't really do much in the movie. It's in Dominion in the background, really. It eats the guy on the scooter, that's about it. Yeah, again, I feel like we could have had other dinosaurs come back to fill that role of the Allosaurus. So yeah, it's just another, I think it's just another okay background dinosaur for me. The Steamoloch. It's kind of used for comic relief. Battle of Big Rock did the Allosaurus better, that is true. Interesting that we don't have the Nasuto in here from that either. So obviously Battle of Big Rock is missing from this particular one. We'll get to the Scorpius Rex in a minute. I thought of this once for some reason, but I like to think that the Battle of Big Rock Allo as a male and the Fallen Kingdom Allo as a Juvian a female. Maybe? Yeah, the Steamoloch in Fallen Kingdom is just primarily for comic relief. It smashes up the cell that they're trapped in, and then it just goes on a rampage and knocks all of the people buying dinosaurs around. I'm not really sure what to think of it beyond that. It's got an okay design. Again, I kind of feel like I would have rather had Pachycephalosaurus come back from the Lost World. Instead of them putting in what is basically a Pachycephalosaurus but different. I feel like we could have just had the Pachycephalosaurus come back. So I think this just goes into another okay, just another okay animal. The Indoraptor. I'm curious, chat. So let's have a bit of discussion here. What do you think, chat, about the Indoraptor? I want to know what your opinions of it are. Try to avoid discussing it for cool factor. As an entity in the movie and everything else, what do you think of the Indoraptor? I'm just going to have a short pause and have something to drink. It's scary, says Kian. The Indoraptor seems like an example of overstepping the scientific boundaries. Indoraptor liked the design. Was it good? No, it's a literal budget xenomorph. Okay. Kian, it has a reference to the raptor in the kitchen. Yeah. The Indoraptor is meh, but it's kind of cool. Okay. Aiden is going to be silent on the Indoraptor. So it's obviously not. This tier list makes me want a better adaptation for the Lost World book. Not gonna lie. Yeah. So the Indoraptor is obviously a hybrid, which is a problem in itself. It's just another hybrid. They've created it. Well, so this is a bit that I'm a bit confused about in the film. It seems like they've created the Indoraptor before they got the material from the Indorex. Because it seems like not very much time passes between them getting that material from the Indorex and the Indoraptor being present. So I've always read that as the Indoraptor has been made before. But as a weapon of war, which this Indoraptor is supposed to be, it's useless. It's such a stupid idea. Why would you go through the effort of making a animal which you then have to get a man to target a laser on the thing you want to kill and send a signal to then the animal to then have the animal go and kill the person that you're targeting with the laser? That's a very inefficient process in terms of a military weapon. And yes, animals are used on the modern battlefield, but we don't use lions and elephants and horses anymore as direct weapons of warfare. The animals we use in warfare these days, things like dogs, sniffer dogs, are used specifically for specific tasks where their sense of smell is important. We don't use them as actual weapons of warfare. So the whole concept of it being dinosaur might work on infantry, but nothing can beat an A10 warhog, says Guillermo. Well, it's a bit more complicated than that, because even if you're sending it against a bunch of infantry, it won't take long for them to deal with that. They might be scared at first, but they'll soon start opening fire back. And you have to think about all the logistics of having the Indoraptor there as a weapon. I mean, you've got to keep it contained. You've got to feed it. you've got to make sure the people around it are trained suitably to use it. And I can imagine the Indoraptor is not going to be like a horse or a dog. It's not going to be easy to look after. So it's a stupid concept like the Indominus Rex. In the movie, it's also a complete failure. It completely fails to kill a small clone child. And it doesn't kill Blue. And it falls from a little bit of a height, lands on a fossilized Triceratops head, and dies. It is incredibly anticlimactic. It does even less in the movie than the Indo Rex does. I'm not really sure what the point of it. I know the Scorpius Rex was a prototype. We're not talking about the Scorpius Rex, Kian. We're talking about the Indoraptor. It doesn't have plot armor, does it, Dinosaur King? The Indoraptor dies almost instantly when it encounters an actual dinosaur. Blue and Clone Child had plot armor against Indoraptor. Yes, true. So yeah, Indoraptor is far worse for me than the Indorex is. The Indorex I can probably put up with, but the Indoraptor was just silly and stupid. And because it was so silly and stupid, I didn't even really think it was that scary. Not with its go faster stripe along the side. It was just a bit laughable, really. Dominion. This is probably going to be where I start annoying people. Let's wait. We'll do Dominion in a sec. Let me just deal with the Camp Cretaceous species. I have not watched Camp Cretaceous, so I can't really judge the species based on what they do in the TV show. The only thing I'm going to say is that the Scorpius Rex is immediately going to be worst. It's just another preposterously stupid hybrid, which makes it bad. The rest of them, they're just generic dinosaurs, so they can all go into background. I think the scariest thing is Owen surviving the pyroclastic volcano clouds. Yes. I think they made the Quetzal too big again, about too big for the movie and awkward with the attack on the plane. Fletcher, I hate hybrids. I do, Dinosaur King, because they're so stupid and silly. Do you know how many species of actual dinosaur there are? There are hundreds. If you want something impressive and new and different, pick one of the hundreds of dinosaurs we haven't seen on screen. Stop making discount sci-fi action movie monsters. And if you must make stupid action movie monsters, don't make them really stupid. The Scorpius Rex doesn't even make sense as a prototype. I know that's what they're canonically claiming it is, but it doesn't make sense if you think this is supposed to be the thing they make before the Indo-Rex. So the Scorpius Rex is so dangerous that it's never used. And then they make the Indo-Rex, which is larger and equally, if not more dangerous, but substantially larger than the Scorpius Rex. So why would you make something more dangerous if the Scorpius Rex is already too dangerous. The Scorpius just looks like a demented Indoraptor. If they wanted to make a new prototype hybrid for the show, it should have looked more like the Indo-Rex, because then it would have made sense. That's just my opinion. Did they not learn? Exactly. Did they not learn? Right. So we get to the Dominion species, and this is a problem. Dominion is the worst movie I have seen in a very long time. And I honestly think it's the worst film of all 6. I would rather watch Jurassic Park 3 2 or 3 times repeatedly than watch Dominion again. Watching Dominion the second time with Nerd Guy Productions was painful. And we will discuss the Raptors, Rob. Don't worry, we'll get to the Raptors. Let's start with the Giga. Actually, no, let's start with the Therizinosaurus. The Therizinosaurus and the Therizinosaurus scene initially was good. I like the design of the Therizino. It's very accurate to the Morris only appears for 2 seconds, Kian. It would probably just end up in the OK bit. Therizinosaurus model, the design is relatively accurate, I feel. Its skeletal structure. It has a very suspense-filled scene. And actually, the scene with the Therizinosaurus and Claire is probably the one time that Jurassic World Dominion actually starts to feel like a Jurassic movie with a little bit of suspense to it. The scene at the very end of the movie where the Therizino kills the Giga through extreme amounts of coincidence with the Rex is a bit stupid and silly. So I've marked it down for that. But it's good for the rest, in my opinion. With the Giganotosaurus, I immediately have flashbacks to the Indo-Rex, only in dark with dragon vibes. Yeah, exactly, Rob. The scene at the whole fight at the end of the Dominion movie is just basically the Jurassic World fight at the end without the mosasaur and without the good lighting. The Theri did break a claw. That is, yep. I would have liked it if the Therizinosaurus had more time fighting the Giga and died doing it while also heavily wounding the Giga. Yeah, it did seem a bit one-sided against the Giga. The Giga itself, I like the design. It's very visually distinctive from the T-Rex. So, that's a good thing. But in the movie, it is really badly used. So I think it goes in the OK section. The Giga doesn't even kill anybody. I mean, Dominion itself as a movie suffers from a complete lack of stakes. Like, no one ever seems to be in danger. I would have had probably Ian Malcolm die to the Giga, or Dr. Wu die to the Giga, or someone die to the Giga. All the Giga does is it bullies the T-Rex a bit. It then chases them for a little bit. There's some very awful switching from animatronic to CGI dinosaur in that particular scene, which is awful. And then at the end of the movie, it bullies the T-Rex again like the Indorex did. We have yet another repeated fake out death of the T-Rex. And then the Giga fights the Therizinosaurus a little bit and then gets shoved and happens to fall into the Therizinosaurus. You know, they made such a big fuss of bringing the Giga in, and then they did really nothing much with it. So why bother? So yeah, it goes in as just an okay dinosaur. We are getting a lot of bots tonight, aren't we? Gonna have to grab that one. Yeah, I apologize, folks, for the bots. Remember that it's all a couple of minutes behind for me, so don't worry, I will attack the bots if I see them. The Quetzalcoatlus. So, in the movie, it's overinflated in size. I don't mind that too much. Mostly because, you know, the raptors are slightly inflated in size. It's not a terrible thing. I really like the design for Quetz. I think it looks really cool. But again, because Dominion treats its dinosaurs and its creatures as just action movie monsters to chase the protagonists from one place to another, it means that the Quetz is kind of really badly treated in the movie. It just shows up, smashes apart an aircraft with such perfect precision you'd think it's been watching Top Gun, and then flies away. And then that's it, really. In terms of actual physical presence in the movie, it shows up at the beginning in a quick little news report. It shows up at the end in a quick little news report. And its actual part in the film is just to be Tom Cruise in shooting down the aircraft. So, again, I feel like there's more they could have done with the Quetz. And I don't like the way the Dominion treated its dinosaurs as movie monsters. But because it has a nice design of skin and model and everything else, it goes in the OK section. Pyroraptor. So both the Pyroraptor and Atrociraptor are strange inclusions for me. They're both based on raptor species that we have very little evidence for, which is the first problem. There's actually very little evidence of Atrociraptor from a paleontological position. I don't know where the Dimetrodon is. It's a weird that they've clearly forgotten to put it on there. But the Lystrosaurus and the Morus intrepidus show up for so little time that they're just kind of background dinosaurs at best. And the Iguanodon only shows up in the prologue, as far as I'm aware, which I haven't seen. Mostly because it should have been in the base release of the movie, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway. So, Pyroraptor and Atrociraptor, they're based on raptor species where there's very little paleontological evidence for them. They're given massively overinflated sizes as a result. But why do we need... Like, I kind of feel like they're just in there because they sound cool. So, oh, Pyroraptor sounds cool and Atrociraptor sounds cool. But the Atrociraptor looks so close to the standard raptors. I feel like we could have just had the Jurassic Park 3 raptors come back for the film in that particular moment. So yeah, I'm not really sure the Atrociraptors were needed. And again, they're just movie monsters. They have the same laser tracking hunter killer thingamajiggy that the Indoraptor has. So that kind of marks them down as well. I like the sort of coloration they have, but apart from that, that's about it. Iguanodon was in the movie. Where? I don't remember seeing it in the movie. Yeah, the Atrociraptor is a pocket-sized Indoraptor, and I feel like that kind of results in it going in as in the worst category, just as that. Prehistoric Planet's Atrociraptor was more interesting. It is interesting that Prehistoric Planet put the Atrociraptor in their thing. The Iguanodon was in the background and hard to see unless you were looking for it. Ah. Well, even so, like, if it was only in the background, then it automatically means it goes in the background dinosaur section, really, doesn't it? Pyroraptor. So I really like the design, which means it really should be in the top half. I love the design. I love the feathers, even though its size is again completely inaccurate. To be honest, I feel like the Jurassic World franchise just added dinosaurs to make and sell more toys. Well, the Jurassic Park franchise never had a problem with making toys of dinosaurs that weren't in the movies. So again, I don't really think they needed to put them into the films to have the toys. The thing about the Pyroraptor that annoys me again is that, like all of the other animals in Dominion, it's on for a couple of minutes. No, it shows up to hunt Owen and Kayla. The whole jumping into the water, swimming around, attacking thing, I mean, I do have problems with that. Sea birds are very specially adapted. Their feathers are very specially adapted for their role. The Pyroraptor seems to just have normal bird feathers to me. They don't look like penguin feathers, do they? I also don't think a dinosaur would jump into freezing cold water through ice. Generally, jumping into freezing cold water is bad for any living organism. If you jump into freezing cold water, it can send your body into shock. It's just generally not a good idea to leap into freezing water. And then it smashes its way through several inches of ice, which would probably have knocked the animal out. And again, it's just treated like a movie monster. Oh, that's cool, Kian. It felt like cooling off. Well, it would certainly cool off in water that's extraordinarily cold. And it's that particular scene with the Pyroraptor annoys me because it looks so cool on screen. And they could have had it literally anywhere else. They could have replaced the Atrociraptors with the Pyroraptors. Have the Pyroraptors chase them through the streets of Malta. But instead, we literally have the Pyroraptor on screen for 2 minutes to chase Owen and Kayla off the frozen dam to a lift. And then they reach the lift. And then they go off. And the Pyroraptor is not in the rest of the film. Like, so many of the animals in Dominion are misused. They're shown, they show up, and then they're thrown off, and I suppose it is a depressing part of the stream, but that's because we're talking about the Jurassic World movies, which I think were really bad movies. So I'm afraid it's kind of natural that we would get to the depressing part when talking about them. Panthers and tiger look too similar. I never put Pyroraptor in my desert parks. I think the Pyroraptor in Jurassic World Evolution 2 is actually really nice. It's one of my favorite animals, but yeah, in the movie I think it was just misused. Jurassic World Evolution 2 just makes the creatures better. They do, because in Jurassic World Evolution 2 we can actually use these animals fairly. I mean, it's pretty clear. You can see from the coloration here, like the red is Jurassic Park, the white is the Lost World, the sort of beige is Jurassic Park 3, and then sort of the blue, orange, and grey are the Jurassic Park World movies. And you can see there's a very clear difference in the rating there. Is this because of nostalgia? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty happy with these as they are. I definitely think it would overheat a lot. It is covered in. It is. Kian, can I also ask that you kind of reduce the whole please can you read my previous message thing? I've seen you do it a few times. I am trying to keep an eye on chat as much as I can, but I also have to kind of talk and stuff as well, so please bear with. I am trying to respond to chat as much as I can. If anything, Jurassic World made me like Carno and Aloe a lot more than I used to. I mean, I suppose that is something that is not really discussed, is how Jurassic World has gotten more people into dinosaurs again. Because obviously back in the 90s and early 2000s when I was growing up, it was Jurassic Park and Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, and then we had Walking with Dinosaurs. Those were the things that got me into dinosaurs, with Walking with Dinosaurs probably the most important of those. And The Lost World was actually the first movie I ever saw at a cinema. So it was a pretty big deal for me. And that's what got me into dinosaurs anyway. Obviously, the Jurassic World movies are for the next, I say the next generation, the generation or two below me, trying to get them interested in them. They forgot another animal, the bugs. Oh god, the bugs. Kian, do you really... You don't want to mention the bugs to me, man, because I will just go on a rant about how awful Dominion is as a film. The locusts do not belong on this list, because the locusts did not belong in a Jurassic Park World movie. A movie about dinosaurs should not be about giant bugs. If you want to watch a bug movie, watch Starship Troopers. God, I hate every part of Dominion. There's so much wrong with it for me. Anyway. So yeah, the Jurassic World movies nowadays are obviously supposed to... bye-bye, Aiden. Have a good Christmas. So the Jurassic World movies are obviously here for younger audiences to get them into dinosaurs. And I suppose I kind of agree with what Best in Slot has said about the recent Jurassic World movies. Yes? Hello? Why are you standing there with a bowl full of... What have you got? What is that?
You know what it is?
No, I don't. I can't see it.
Milk.
Oh, tiramisu.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Dane just went and got desserts.
I just came in to grab my Switch.
Yeah, so Best in Slot said that the Jurassic World movies are not movies that are aimed at him anymore. They're aimed at a different audience, and I do kind of agree with that. The Jurassic World movies are not aimed at people like me who like dinosaurs. They're aimed at people who like the Marvel movies. You know, they just want to see dinosaurs fighting other dinosaurs because that's cool. And they want to see dinosaurs with go faster stripes, and they want to see dinosaurs with, you know, camouflaging. Bye-bye, Rob. So yeah, they're aimed at those sorts of people. They're not aimed at my sorts of people anymore. Do the Jurassic World movies get more people interested in dinosaurs? Maybe they have. I'm personally not so sure. It's probable that it's, you know, we wouldn't have had, oh Marvel, one of these days we'll stop talking about talking bad about you. I'm not talking bad about Marvel. I just think that the Jurassic World movies are aimed at a movie audience that prefers action heavy story, less important movies, which is fine. They're just not my sorts of films. And it's arguable we wouldn't have got the documentaries like Prehistoric Planet and the other documentaries that Netflix are doing without Jurassic World. So in that respects, Jurassic World has been probably quite important for keeping the interest in dinosaurs alive. But I do think they're a bad franchise, or bad films for the franchise. I think they're bad movies, and I think they're bad for the franchise. But they are important, and I can't deny that. Okay, Kaya, Kian, I'll see you later. Enjoy your Christmas. My standpoint is if you don't like dinosaurs, you normally have no incentive to see the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies. I do know that the franchise as a whole kind of soured my view and potential love of dinosaurs. Well, that's interesting. I mean, that is a good point. I suppose if you're interested in dinosaurs, you're more likely to go and watch a dinosaur movie, I suppose. It's a very good point, Dane. Though I am going to, in the new year, talk about Jurassic World, like all 3 movies of the Jurassic World section of the franchise, and just go through and explain why I think they're just bad movies from various perspectives, character and plot. Plot especially, I think their plots are terrible. But then also characters and everything else. But irrespective of the creatures, I think I'm quite happy with this as a creature list, so I'm going to, I shall download this and put it up on the Twitter. I only watched them because you wanted to. It was not my idea of a fun night. I'm sorry, Dane. But yeah, we're going to stop a little bit short. I'm just going to stop this music. Yeah, we're going to stop a little short since we've only got 10 minutes and it is, I know people are getting busy, so I'm going to leave it there. I want to thank everyone for joining me on this Christmas Eve night for this quick little experiment that we've done here today. We'll be back to playing actual games next week. I think me and Dane are going to do something for New Year's Day. Probably drunk golf with your friends or something, I think. And there will be a video next week, just rounding up our year. But yeah, Merry Christmas from all of us at Triclaw Gaming. We'll see you in the new year, where we will hopefully get to our 1,000 subscriber target. And until then, enjoy your Christmases wherever you are. Stay safe and goodbye.